wonder how some authors come up with those perfect book titles? Sometimes they're magic, and sometimes book titles are a total misfire. Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain and tell you how I approach book titles and let you see some of where I've gone wrong and where I've gone right before. Hi, I'm Sean Platt, author of Yesterday Is Gone, Unicorn Western, and Write, Publish, Repeat. You can probably tell by all three of those titles that coming up with the name for my books and projects is one of my favorite parts of being a writer. Titles can make or break your story, and today, I want to share how I find the perfect one. Titles are the first impression your story makes, whether it's on a bookshelf, a website, or a random recommendation from a friend. Titles aren't just a name, they're a promise. A great title hints at the story waiting inside. It grabs your attention and it makes you wonder, what's this book all about? The not-so-secret secret is that I don't have a one-size-fits-all approach to titling my books. Sometimes a title comes to me before I've even written the story. Sometimes I change the name of a story after it's written and I know what it's really all about. Titles that are too clever can sometimes do more harm than good with what you're trying to communicate. They might grab attention, but if they mislead readers or create expectations that the story doesn't deliver on, it can undermine the entire project. Take Lilith Fair, an idea I had that went nowhere. The title came to me as a clever play on words, a twist on Lilith Fair, the music festival, but with a supernatural angle. The idea was that Lilith, the legendary first woman turned vengeful spirit, comes back to extort attacks from people who unwittingly opened a portal to her realm. Lilith Fair seemed like the perfect title at first, catchy, clever, and intriguing. But the title became a trap. Instead of shaping the title around the story, I ended up twisting the story to fit the title. And worse, the target audience likely wouldn't even get the Lilith Fair reference. It was a classic case of the title being too clever for its own good. Even if you have a great title, you still need to know the heart of your story. What's the big idea? The emotion, the hook that makes this one stand out. A title needs to reflect that essence while being memorable, intriguing, and ideally, something you can't get out of your head. Sometimes it's all about instinct. A title will just feel right. Other times I'll throw a dozen options at the wall to see what sticks. I might mix and match words, consider pop culture references, maybe a song lyric, title, or a popular phrase. Regardless of where I end up, the right title must always answer a few key questions. Does it intrigue the reader? Does it reflect the story's tone and theme? And most importantly, does it make me excited to dive into the world I'm creating? Here's how this process played out for some of my most memorable titles. Both the name and the concept for Unicorn Western came when my writing partner Dave told me and the co-host of our podcast, Johnny, that we wouldn't do proper research when writing a Western and that we should, quote, put a fucking unicorn in it. A 9-book story followed. Once we had the title, it was something we couldn't not write. Yesterday Is Gone started with the concept, an apocalyptic thriller, and we needed a name that captured both the bleakness of the world and the emotional weight of the characters' journeys. Yesterday Is Gone clicked because it suggested loss, survival, and hope all at once. Side note, Dave did not like this title at first. Of course, he made fun of Fleetwood Mac. I can't take any credit for Write, Publish, Repeat, even though it's a remarkable title that now has its own podcast with new episodes every Monday. Back when me, Dave, and Johnny were all hosting the self-publishing podcast, we asked our listeners to suggest names for our upcoming book. We knew that Write, Publish, Repeat was a winning title 1 second after seeing it. I Am John Titor was different because that book needed a title that balanced fact and fiction. The character himself is an internet legend, the supposed time traveler who appeared on forums in the early 2000s. His name alone comes with a built-in mystery. The title for I Am John Titor came during a story meeting that I remembered incorrectly. In my head, I shouted out the name at the perfect time in the conversation, exactly like the hero of the story I imagined myself to be. But we have video footage that tells the truth. In reality, my co-author Neve came up with the title as a play on I Am Spartacus, as a reference to the blurring of fact and fiction. Americana, the exclusive book available only to my newsletter readers, is one of my favorite titles because of how much meaning it carries. On the surface, it evokes images of the American dream, nostalgia, and the iconic symbols we all recognize. But dig deeper, and it becomes a commentary on how America romanticizes its story, clinging to myths and legacies that often obscure harsh truths. This is one of those titles that speaks volumes before you even open the book. It evokes the nostalgic ideals of the American dream, but carries a deeper commentary as well. The story is like Yellowstone meets Westworld and asks, are we in love with what we are or with what we want to be? That complexity is exactly what I aim for when naming a book, and Americana captures that duality perfectly. Titles are one of my favorite parts of the creative process because that's where the story starts, for me as a writer and for you as the reader. A good title doesn't just tell you what the book is about, it invites you to step inside the story. What's a book title that made you pick it up instantly? Or one that stuck with you long after you finished the story? Was it something clever, intriguing, emotional? Share your favorites in the comments, after you've clicked subscribe, of course. And don't forget to grab your free copy of Americana. The link is in the description below. See you tomorrow.